There's plenty of spells in D&D 5th edition, but there are some spells from other games that you just can't replicate without making your own. That's exactly what I did for Dota 2. There's a few spells that are super sweet that I'm making in preparation for heroes that I'm going to be making characters on down the road. First up, we have Winter Wyvern's Cold Embrace. In Dota, you are able to save allies from afar by encasing them in ice and protecting them from physical damage for the duration. The trade-off is, that creature is unable to do anything. They are incapacitated for the duration. I feel like Abjuration always gets these spells like Shield or Counterspell or Dispel Magic that are so clearly a must-have that it reduces your character customization. Cold Embrace is a new type of option that allows you to save your allies that isn't always just another healing word spell. Fatal Bonds, one of Warlock's signature spells, is something I had to make. The only thing is that this is definitely way too powerful in its current form, and definitely needs to be nerfed or perhaps upped to 5th or maybe even 6th level spell. Binding creatures together like this makes AoE spells far too effective. For example, if I were to cast Fatal Bonds upon 6 enemies, and then my ally casts Fireball upon that area, all of a sudden they're all reduced to cinders. Perhaps instead of binding up to 6 creatures together, which would be far too powerful, this should be like almost the inverse of Warding Bond, that abjuration spell that allows you to split damage between you and whoever you're warding. Instead, it would just increase the damage by however much you took. That would be far less fun, but it would probably be far more balanced. Our next spell comes from everyone's favorite Crystal Maiden, Rylai. Similar to Cold Embrace, you will be encasing people in ice, but with this one, it will be damaging instead of healing. I feel like each of the elemental damage types should have something specific that they do in addition to damage. Fire is just most damaging of all the elements. Thunder often pushes people away, but I feel like Cold never actually slows people down very much, or if it does, it's a very high level spell, or it doesn't also do damage. I wanted a spell that could both damage someone and also reduce their movement speed. It's not a ton of damage for a second level spell, but it does have quite a strong effect if they fail the saving throw. So it's possible the spell is slightly too strong. If that's the case, all I would do is perhaps reduce the range a little bit, maybe to 30 feet. But I like the ability to have some crowd control, especially at the lower levels. Next up we have the ultimate from Vengeful Spirit, one of my favorite heroes from Dota. Nether Swap allows you to switch places with another creature within 90 feet of you. They do get to make a charisma saving throw, similar to a banishment spell or the like, but if you succeed, you completely put them out of position. But beware, you might be putting yourself right in the enemy's hands. Now we're onto one of the more interesting ones. Magnetic Field, an Arc Warden ability, creates a spherical distortion field that makes it difficult for projectiles to pass through. Any ranged weapon attacks made from outside the sphere are going to have disadvantage on targeting anyone inside the sphere. This is a powerful effect, but considering that it has absolutely no effect on ranged spell attacks, and no effect on melee attacks, of course, I don't think it's too powerful. As I said before, I'm always looking at getting more options and more interesting spells available for abjurers. Sometimes I feel like get really poor options, and this one allows your wizard to protect the party. Perhaps they're in an open area, then they would have otherwise been pinned down by several archers. And now our final spell from Dirge the Undying, Soul Rip. This necromantic spell will suck the life force out of every creature within 20 feet of you and channel it into either harming an enemy or healing an ally. Now this spell is probably also too good like some of my other ones. For example, it needs to have a cap probably on the amount of damage or healing it can do. But I think that this is quite an interesting spell. I like the idea of sucking a little bit of life away from everybody and then giving it just to one person to hurt or harm. Wizards aren't allowed to have healing, if I recall, which means that this would probably have to be a sorcerer or warlock spell would make the most sense. Hey, maybe it would be a sweet thing for the Undying patron for warlocks to get. Finally, they get something good, am I right? Anyway, these are some spells from Dota that I have devised for 5th edition. Feel free to use them. There's a link in the description to the GM binder page where I've put them. Modify them to your own taste. They are, of course, some of them far overpowered and need tweaking. Let me know what you all think in the comments below, and I will see you next time.